Book Depository. I am very excited. My name is Simran Kaur and I am the author of Girls That Invest. And I cannot wait to speak a little bit about the book, about myself and about money and getting wealthy, because that is what we're here for. In terms of who I am, my name is Sim, and what brings me joy? That was the first question. I would say it is seeing people have the life that they want, because I grew up seeing a lot of people that didn't get that. So when you have financial freedom, then you can work the job that you want to, be in the kinds of relationships that you want to, and live a life where you're not settling, but you're getting to choose. The very first sentence in the book is that the world of investing was not one I grew up with, and that really runs true. I didn't come from a family where investing was talked about, it was normalized. I just thought you had to get a job, work hard, save, and that was it. And obviously that's not the case. So I started investing when I took a certificate in financial markets, and a little bit before that as well. But I really found that it made no sense, and that there were so many people that were throwing all these things at me, and it just made me feel so uncomfortable. It was quite dodgy, and there was just a lot of misinformation around. It inspired me to start the podcast for Girls That Invest, because the podcast came first and the book came after. Was actually a conversation that I was having with my best friend. We were sitting on the floor in my home, and this is someone I've known for 20 years, so we've been friends for a very, very long time. And we started talking about money, and we started opening up for the very first time, and I thought it was just so awesome and so great to have a conversation with someone about something that's so personal. And we thought, hey look, let's talk about our money, let's put it online and be really vulnerable and share all our numbers, share all our figures, but more importantly, share our journey, so that if we make it seem less taboo to talk about money with your best friend, hopefully people will listen in and do the same with theirs. 3 things that people should know when it comes to creating a podcast episode is, number 1, have a structure. So in the same way that you used to write essays back in school, we have an introduction, 3 main body points and a conclusion. That's how we would start recording the podcast, and it worked out really well. For example, we'd say, here's 3 myths about the stock market that aren't true, and would have introduction about it, and then bullet point 1, 2, 3, I would do 1, Sonia, my co-host, would do the other, and then I'd do the 3rd one. And so that way we know what we're talking about, and we're not just rambling, and we feel more confident when we talk about it. Other 2 things when you start creating a podcast that's really, really important is making sure that you understand who you're talking to. So we made sure that we were talking to a certain group of people that wanted to invest but didn't feel like it was for them. And that way when they listen in, they go, oh my God, this is for me. This podcast speaks my language. They speak to me in a way that no one else has, and they're going to jump in a lot quicker as opposed to trying to talk to everyone. And then the 3rd thing that really helps with growing a podcast is using social media. No one was going to search up money podcasts or how to invest in the stock market for women. But if we have a social media account, people can see us and find us a little bit easier and then go to the podcast. So those 3 things really helped. 3 things when it comes to investing in the stock market that no one talks about. I really wanted to cover it in the book, and one of them is that you don't have to do a lot of research. People think you need a whole degree in financial markets to invest. You just need a book, and even then it's not as complicated as it seems. The second thing that it comes with investing in the stock market is you don't need to be doing a lot of research into individual companies. People think you have to find the next Apple or the next Google, but that's not the case. You can invest in funds that are baskets filled with lots of little companies, and that's a lot easier. And then the 3rd thing that people don't realize is that you don't have to invest a lot of money to begin. Now with micro investing, you can put in as little as $1 or $10 to get started. The most valuable piece of information when it comes to investing in the stock market would be the quote that investing should be as exciting as watching paint dry. and watching paint dry is very, very boring. I can tell you, I was renovating my house recently, but when it comes to the stock market, all you need to know is the information about it and the background and how it works to get started. You don't have to be spending a lot of time trying to find trends in the next funds. It shouldn't be, 5 computer screens and on the phone with brokers yelling at you. It's not as crazy as that. Challenging part about writing my debut book, Girls That Invest, is funnily enough getting started. I got the book deal and I was very excited. I booked a retreat to go away to write the book, and for the first couple of days I just sat there and I had such a mind blank and I was like, how do I do this? I'm a huge procrastinator, but once I started writing, I almost just brain dumped it out and it somehow came out quite nicely. But getting started is really the hardest part. The most enjoyable part about writing Girls That Invest would be the aftermath. So writing it and submitting it, whatever, editing, that's all done, fine. I don't really, that's not exciting. What was really exciting was seeing the book on people's Instagram stories where they just hold it up and they'd leave reviews and they'd message us and tell us how much they loved it. That was the most exciting part. I think I still cannot get over it. We get hundreds of screenshots of people every single day sending in them reading the book with their children. Someone put in the other day about how his son picked it up while she left it on the table and she sent me a photo. That's the stuff that is probably the most enjoyable. Seeing people read it, use it, and then share it with their friends and family. The second most enjoyable part about writing Girls That Invest is the amount of people that have said, I read the book and now I'm going to buy 5 copies for my sisters, or I've read the book and all my nieces and nephews are getting copies. I think that to me says they've enjoyed it and now they want to share that knowledge with everyone, and that just means the world to me. Memorable moment of my career so far as an author would probably be getting a 2-page spread in Vogue with my best friend and having a photo shoot for that. I think that was our first ever experience in, someone doing our hair and makeup, someone styling us, a photographer, and it was so out of our comfort zone. We'd never done anything like it, and I thought it was just going to be like a cute little column, in the magazine. And when it arrived and we opened it up, it was like a 2-page spread and it blew my mind. And that's probably a career highlight. I would say going to the US for a TED Talk would probably be up there too. It's so important to me to have more women investing is because investing knowledge is out there, but it's not spoken in a way that makes us feel like we can be a part of it. You can read investing books, you can watch investing videos, you can find it everywhere, and yet still we don't have as many women and minorities investing. And the question is why? And it's because there's no representation in that space to say, hey, this is a place for you. I truly believe everyone should be investing, but specifically women and minorities, because we get left behind, not just with the wage gap, but with this other thing called the wealth gap. And the wealth gap means that we don't end up retiring with enough money, we don't end up with enough wealth to sustain ourselves. And it's really, really horrible, because at the end of the day, it means we're not living a life that we want to, we're sometimes living a life that we have to. In terms of books or recommendations on how to get started with investing, probably the bestseller, Girls That Invest. The second day of pre-sales, it was the number 2 book on Book Depository in all categories, in all countries, which absolutely blew my mind and our community's mind. But I think it goes to show just how many people out there in the world could really benefit from something like this, and how many people then read it and go, I'm buying like 5 copies for my sisters. It just is absolutely crazy. But if you want to get started learning how to grow your wealth in a way that doesn't seem intimidating, doesn't talk down to you or is patronizing, definitely check out Girls That Invest. It's a bestseller, and I really, really, truly am so thankful for all the support.